Hello and welcome to episode 16 of my Salem tutorial series. This episode is going to be on making potions and gobbling to raise our humours up, also how to speed up getting inspiration. Oh my goodness, make like a sponge as this is going to get deep. So let us begin on raising our humours. You may be asking yourselves, why do we need to raise our humours? To answer that is simply because everything we want to do relies on us having increased humours at each stage, even cotton farming and production. As the series continues, I will advise the new level to get your humours to. You will see in this episode the goal is to get your humours to 10. So let us begin. Are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then here we go. Now, there are many things to take into account when playing Salem. Like Worm, it is a thinking person's game, hence why the gamester is here. One does not simply run off into the wild and start bashing bunnies, or one gets knocked out. So, my dear pilgrims, we have to hatch a cunning plan to achieve our mad goals. Now, previously I mentioned not to get your humours up too much. Now I will try to explain why this is the case. Raising your humours must be controlled and balanced. The higher you get a humour, the more difficult it will become to further raise it, as in needing more food, and better food as in more difficult to cook, needing more advanced skills and structures to make that food. But there is also something else to take into consideration. When you drink a potion, you will then get a quaffed debuff that lasts for a certain amount of time. The only way to cancel it out is by gobbling. Now don't worry if I've lost you. I am going to be showing you exactly what I mean through actions, because actions, my dear pilgrims, speak much louder than words. First, let me show you the different foods to raise the different humours. So okay, here we are. Up here you can see our 4 humours that I have mentioned in previous episodes, but because this episode is based so much on the humours, it's advisable for me to show you. So as you can see, all of them are at the base 5 except for the yellow bile, which I did mention to you is one of the most useful to begin with. But then again, you can also argue that so is the blue bar, phlegm, because remember, the blue bar is endurance, the yellow bar is strength, how much we can carry and how much damage we do when we hit the critters, which we're going to get to. So these 2 humours we do use. We also have been using the black bile to study, but nothing that we can't handle to keep it topped up. Blood is not really come into effect yet. So getting back to my point, the yellow and blue bars are the important ones at the moment, just at the moment. But like I've mentioned in this episode, we can safely raise them all to 10 once I've explained to you everything I'm going to. Okay, so let's show you the different foods. So, okay, here you can see 4 different types of foods. We have the roasted hickory nuts. Now, if I hover over the hickory nuts, you can see that where it says when gobbled, do you see that halfway down that window, when gobbled? And it shows the 4 different colours, denoting the 4 different humour bars up here and their relevant colours. So you will notice for the roasted hickory nuts, they will give us the black bile. They will raise our black bile from between 8 to 10 points per gobble. Now remember, when you're gobbling in that little window, you will get the debuff full and fed up for 5 minutes, it's telling us. Well, we'll look when I gobble. But more importantly, what I want to point out, notice it says that there's a 50% chance that as we're gobbling nuts, there's a 50% chance that we will get an effect which will cut our gobbling effectiveness in half. So what does that mean to you and me, human beings? Well, I hope you are. It means basically the more times we gobble nuts, there is a chance every single time that we gobble a nut that it will an icon will appear showing us that the next time we gobble, we won't get 100% of the gobble's value, which is between 8 and 10. We will get maybe half of that. So it's saying there's a 50% chance it will halve the effectiveness of gobbling this food. So it will drop to between 4 and 5. I hope you understand that. Now, every further time you gobble, there's a further chance of it happening. So the next time it will cut the effectiveness of this food to 25%. So it will gobble between 2 and 2.5, etc. So there we are. Point got across of the risk with further gobbling. So that does our black bile. Next we have the roasted pine nuts. You will observe it does the same for our yellow bile. Okay, so again the same restrictions apply. We will get the debuff full and fed up, which we will look at once we've gobbled, and also the same as what I've just explained, the 50% chance of its effectiveness dropping 50% each time. Okay, so that's the yellow. Next we have the blood, the red. Notice it's between 5 and 6 points for gobbling these cranberries. You can get the cranberry bushes. The nuts, the roasted pine nuts you get off the trees, the same with the roasted hickory nuts. But the cranberries will do, as you can see, our blood, which is our red bar. Okay, and last but not least, we have the myrtle oak acorns, which we picked off of them bushes. They, you will notice, do our phlegm, which is the blue bar. So there we are. There's the 4 different types of foods that you can gobble. Okay, let me now just switch to my notes and check what I'm going to now waffle about. Oops, I mean talk about. Okay, now before we go further, let us use up some inspiration. So let's move that window over there. Let's click the all-seeing eye and let's show you this window. So why have I said to you, do you believe, let's use up some inspiration? Well, as you can see here, the inspiration is at 415,000. That is the current cap at our skill level. We will always make sure we do not waste our inspiration. Notice, like I say, how it's capped at 415,000 points. So let's use some of it up to learn the flowers and berries skill. This will enable us to get more of them when foraging, because we want more flowers and berries, so you can use them to increase your humours. Note, the 415,000 cap will increase as our skills increase. Also note, at the moment we have plenty of inspiration, but as we learn more complex skills, the proficiencies will require vastly much higher stats. So at the moment it's the game's treating us with kid gloves. It's gently easing us into the new world. But let's say that the hammer and nails, we're at a skill, and the hammer and nails now requires to be 65,000. I kid you not, this game gets very deep and goes very far when it comes to skills. What we've learned now is nothing. Even when I've learned all of these skills that you can see in the list, that will open up a skill list probably 10 times the size of this current skill list. Things will keep moving on, they will keep getting better, and we will keep having more and more fun. But I will take you through it gradually and slowly and patiently, so you do not stumble and fall and rage quit, but you get the maximum amount of enjoyment out of this beautiful game called Salem. So let's learn this skill that I've just mentioned to you. Let's find it. Here it is, flowers and berries. Notice it's not red, so it's within our proficiency range. Remember as well that that's another job that you have to do. Increase your proficiency caps so you can meet the skills, and there's one that we're going to be learning eventually, cotton planting. But anyway, for now, we're going to left click on flowers and berries. Let me check my notes. So, right, to learn flowers and berries, we will need flora and fauna to be 1050, we will need herbs and sprouts to be 550, and natural philosophy to be 100. We can achieve this by studying 2 abandoned cobwebs. Okay, so let's bring the pocket back up and let's see. So there's our 2 abandoned cobwebs. Observe how much inspiration is required for the first one. 3,475 to study this. This here will drop by that amount, so I'd like you to observe that. Okay, right click the cobweb, left click study. Okay, you've noticed it's now dropped by that amount. The next one will require 5,212, so let's study it. Notice, observe, our inspiration has dropped by that amount. Notice now we have the requirements to learn flowers and berries, which if we look, it says nature abounds in opulence with wild and beautiful things ripe for the plucking. Flowers and berries allows you increased successes when foraging for wild flowers and berries. So when we pick a bush, okay, this bush we're going to go and pick, you will see after doing this we will get more berries from it. So let's buy it. There's that lovely banjo. Oh, I do love it, the way it rewards us with all sounds and skills and structures and all sorts of great things. So now, if you remember, when we picked the bushes before, I think we got 2 cranberries. Let's now try. So pick berries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So maybe we got 3 before, but now the point being we're getting 6. Look at that. Wasn't it so worth learning that skill? And it wasn't just for berries, remember? It was also for... Oops, let's just bring this up. So if we look up here now, we will find it. It was also for flowers. So when we pick flowers, there's also more chance of picking more. Not with every type, but anyway, point gotten across. I'm not going to dwell and labour on that point. I think you're going to fall asleep otherwise. And you know, your snoring does interrupt me when I'm trying to concentrate on what I'm doing, because this ain't easy, you know. I know I might make myself look stupid half the time by having mistakes and missing out all sorts of relevant, important information, but this isn't easy. Y'all are just sat there on your big butts or your small butts, whatever, but you're just taking it easy, watching the gamester do all the hard work. Anyway, so we've learnt that new skill. Let's close this window. Let's zoom in a bit and reflect on our progress. So, oops, no, don't want to do that. So what we did there is we used up some inspiration, because we don't want to continue with this episode and do what we're going to do and waste it. All will become clear as I continue. So, okay, so we've noticed the inspiration has lowered. So how do we get this inspiration back without waiting 8 hours by sleeping in our bed? Because you're in the Salem zone now. You want to have some fun playing Salem. And you've just burnt through all your inspiration. It now says 000001, so you can't learn any more skills. So normally you'd have to go to sleep in the bed and be offline for 8 hours to get 100,000 back. But that's no good to me or you, so what do? We drink potions. That's exactly what we will be learning in this episode. We drink potions so we can make the game, increase the game speed, as in learning more skills quicker than normal and not having no downtime. If you drink potions, you will find progress in Salem. If you do not drink potions, if you do not drink potions, you will find progress in Salem comes to a very slow grinding halt, while you have to wait 8 hours for your inspiration to regen back up enough for you to learn the next skill tree. The gamester does not do slow, and nor do you. So let us now make our first potion, Butterbug Refresher, a very simple potion to make at early game. You will need, to make this potion, you will need 1 butterfly, 1 bug, whether that's a slug, caterpillar or snail, doesn't matter, and 2 clay for each potion you want to make. So let's start by digging 2 clay. We will need to equip our shovel, then we can dig. So let's minimize that. Let's bring up our inventory. Okay, let's bring up our pockets. Okay, so we will need to remove the axe until we get a tool belt, and we will equip the shovel. There we are, we have the shovel. Now to dig, this brings me to something new. Notice we have this hotbar down here with all these icons. These I recommend filling with your most common tasks. Now the common tasks to start with will be cooking nuts. So to add an item to this hotbar, left click on it, so hickory nuts, keep the button pressed and drag the icon over. I'll place it on number 5. We're going to also make pine nuts, so left click, keep it pressed and drag it over to 6. We're now going to be doing another common action, which is digging. To get to that one, we go to the adventure menu, and here it is. Left click, keep it pressed and drag to the hotbar. There we are. So that's how you can move different icons to your hotbar. Okay, so let's get digging. So we're going to walk over here, okay, away from my lovely messed up area. We are going to press number 7, which will then change the cursor to a spade, and we will then left click. Now notice how the terraforming works. See it lowering it, and also puts it straight into our pockets. So we made a slight indentation in the ground, as you can see, and it put the 2 clay in our pocket. Well, that's all we need is 2 clay. Okay, let's move over here and check my notes. Right, okay, so now we are going to make this potion. So let's do that. We're going to click the craft, we're going to click on potions and medicine, and we're going to left click on Butterbug Refresher. Notice it says confers an instant 6,000 inspiration over 3 uses. So left click, that brings this window up. You can see we now need the 2 clay, any butterfly and any bug, okay, which we have. See, it's highlighted them, the items here. Let's left click craft. The timer goes. We now have our very first potion. How cool is that? Let's eat some food, because we always want to remember to do that. This game will teach you a harsh lesson if you forget to do that. Okay, there they go, they're topping back up nicely. Right, let me check my notes. Okay, now to the meat and potatoes of this episode. We want to raise our humours, but we do not want to waste each gobble, because we want to use each gobble to clear off a quaffed and quenched debuff caused by drinking a potion. So we will also be raising our inspiration at the same time. As they say, it is all good, pilgrims. Now, I know I have given you a lot of food for thought, but that is the nature of this beautiful game. Things are intertwined and have many benefits. If I played correctly, if played correctly. And you are here watching the gamester because you would not settle for any less. I might be lacking in swearing and screaming at you to keep you awake and trying to sound like I am King James of England, but information is my key, the key to your success. So, here are the 4 gobble foods that we see before us. 1 for each of the humours. The goal of this episode is to rate excuse me, time to lose. Let's have a drink. Cool, I have been going at 100 miles an hour. I mean, any normal human being, of course, is going to cough, or his voice is just going to pack up when he talks like a crazy nutter for I don't know how long. Anyway, I've set the timer. We'll see how well I do. So, where was I? Before my voice ran out, my voice deserted me. So yeah, we want to get all of our humours to 10. We're not going to do it now, rush away and gobble, 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 because we can't. You're going to see why in a second. Okay, I'm just letting you know, for the purpose of this series, we're not going beyond the magic number of 10. All will become clear as we progress. Trust me, pilgrims. Okay, you should notice... Oops, where am I? I've lost myself. Okay, so I'll start at the beginning of that bit. So here we are, the 4 gobble foods, 1 for each of the humours, and we're going to raise all of them to 10. But before each gobble, drink a potion to maximise the benefit of the gobble, and make sure you're not wasting inspiration by it being at the cap. That's why we learnt the skill berries and flowers, so we used up some of our inspiration. Now we can drink this potion and not only gain the inspiration back that we lost, that will enable us to learn more skills because we're topping our inspiration back up. And but by doing that, of course, we're going to get the quaffed and quenched debuff. Okay, so we're going to now take 1 sip of this 3-sip potion and observe what happens. You should notice 2 things occur. 1, we get inspiration back. 2, we get a debuff. The more potions we drink, the longer the debuff lasts. Okay, so sip 1. You right click on the potion and left click gulp. Notice it told us 2028 and this is increased by that amount. Notice also we now have quaffed and quenched debuff. A pilgrim may only become so quaffed and quenched before their body requires the nourishment of gluttony. So we can carry on drinking potions. This figure will go up. The more we drink, as you're going to see, the more will accumulate. So, let me check my notes. Okay, so we've noticed that our inspiration went up. We've noticed the debuff. So now what we're going to do is we're now going to take another sip and we're going to have a look at how much longer the debuff increases. So at the moment you'll see the little number 10 down there. Let's take another gulp and you will notice the inspiration go up and that go up. So right click and gulp. Notice it's now on 20, so for every gulp it's giving us 10 to quaffed and quenched. Notice as well our inspiration has gone up. Okay, lastly, we will take 1 more sip and consume the potion. We will then look at how much time-wise the debuff has increased again. So the 3rd gulp will consume the potion. So let's right click, let's gulp. Potion's gone, inspiration's gone up, and this is now at 30. Okay, so that's the 3 things that have happened. So you're asking, how now then do we get rid of this debuff? Well, to answer, I would say welcome to Gobbling. We are now going to gobble some food. Firstly, observe what happens to the debuff up here. Then observe the humour increase over here. Then observe the new debuff that will appear. Note, always make sure you have plenty of the chosen gobble food in your inventory for 2 reasons. Number 1, when in gobble mode, you will not be able to open other containers. You can only gobble from your inventory, so only from here. Number 2, as your humours get higher, you will need to mix and match what types of food you gobble to raise a particular humour. For example, remember, when gobbling, to raise your blood up, you will need to gobble nuts, bugs, game meat, vegetables, basically all the foods that raise your blood when gobbling. So down here we've got cranberries. They're the only food we currently have that will give us blood points. But let's say I've managed to get my blood to 40. Gobbling cranberries will only give us between 5 to 6 points each gobble, which will take a lot of gobbling to get this to 40. And all the time we have the risk of getting that reduction chance of 50%. So I'll tell you now that gobbling cranberries, we will only make it to about perhaps 15 if we're lucky, maybe 20 at an extreme reach in our blood, but we will need to incorporate better foods that give us higher blood, or we will have to find more foods which will give us between 5 and 6 blood per gobble. So a mix and match of different types of blood foods. I hope that now makes sense. Okay, so let's gobble some food and raise a humour. Remember, your current mission is to get all 4 humours to 10 by using all I have mentioned in this episode. Okay, so which one shall we gobble? Well, I've got my yellow up by 1 point. Let's now show getting the phlegm up. So we will require which food? Yes, of course, we will require the myrtle oak, because that's the one that gives us blue. Right, to gobble, you need to left click on either the left fork or the right fork. It does not matter which one. So we left click. Notice it's now gone to the gobble window. All bars are empty until we hover over the chosen food. Notice it shows us what food up above, what humour is going to raise by gobbling that food. See, all 4 different humours. Observe as well when I gobble this food what happens to this quaffed and quenched. So I'm going to gobble this one. So simply left click with the fork on the chosen food. Okay, now you may have noticed, okay, this bar increased, but it did not get to the end. So it has not succeeded yet in getting us a gobble point. In other words, in increasing phlegm to 6. We got the nuts and seeds. It's not as negative. I'm going to call it a negative, which means it's dropped. Every time we now gobble one of these nuts, it's only going to give us 25%. So it's only going to give us between 2.5 and 3.5 instead of the original 5, between 5 and 7. But because we're so close now, we will do it on our second gobble. Notice, however, we are now on 6 minutes with our full and fed up, and also notice it's not done anything to our quaffed and quenched. It will not change the quaffed and quenched until we succeed in increasing this humour that we're trying to do. So let's gobble again and show you. So we're going to gobble another one. Do not gobble any of the others. They that will mess up your gobbling session. So just gobble the same food again. Left click on it. There we go. We've got 1 gobble point, and notice what's happened. Oh, there's the timer. Notice what happened. The time has increased by 3 minutes, because every time you gobble a food, the time's going to go up. So it's now on 6 minutes. It's lowered, however, our quaffed and quenched by 6 minutes. By 6, not minutes, but it's lowered it by 6. So every time now we gobble, we are trying to lower this time. So we now have to wait 9 minutes. So if I right click, notice there it's told us we've got 1 point. Notice as well that our phlegm is now on 6. There is an occasional rare bug, okay, that can occur of when, for example, when you're gobbling, increasing your yellow bile, it doesn't always show you the new carry amount. Don't worry about that. It does take it into account. It just doesn't always show you straight away. But for now, just to mention, our phlegm is now in 6. It's increased by 1 point. We're not going to attempt to gobble anymore because we are going down. We are going down with how much we get per gobble. So we right click, that cancels gobble mode. We now wait for 9 minutes, then we can gobble some more food to raise another humour, and it will then lower our quaffed and quenched. Once we've gobbled enough food, raised our humours enough to have gotten rid of the quaffed and quenched debuff, we will then make and drink another potion. So basically, we will rinse and repeat. So let me just check my notes. Sorry, I know I've gone through the timer. Y'all are welcome to stop the video at any point. As you know, the gamester never tries to keep you here, especially if he's going to give you a nice sleep, because you fall asleep with how much I waffle. But let me just check my notes quickly. So, okay, what's important to pay heed to there with all what we've just done? The more potions you quaff, the bigger this number will increase. The more food you gobble, the less effective it will become by chance of that dropping by 50%, and the more longer it will take before you can gobble again. The better the food you gobble, the longer the full and fed up timer will be. We are gobbling basic foods. Do not be fooled by, if you gobble a decent French cuisine meal that we're going to make in episode 1000, that the timer will only increase by 6 or 9 minutes. If it's a decent quality later game food, it could be up to 3 hours before we can gobble again. Now you appreciate truly why I tell you not to waste getting your humours up too high. Drinking potions is precious at later game when you need vast amounts of inspiration. If you go now increasing your humours as high as they can go, because you go to the market with 1000 silver and buy the best foods and get your humours up to 60, then you're not going to be able to, you're going to lose out on being able to lower the quaffed and quenched, because raising your humours is going to be hard. Simply put, you will not have as many humour attempts as before, because it will get more difficult. Trust the gamester when he tells you to go slow and steady, and you will enjoy this game so much. Now look at that, it's not long, it's now on 5 minutes, and I'll be able to gobble again and raise up my yellow bile to 7, and that will lower this again, and then I can wait another 6 or 9 minutes and gobble again, etc, etc, etc. So that is how it all ties in together. Not forgetting, of course, your inspiration. Now yes, you can sleep, And at the moment we've got plenty of inspiration, but as you start to learn these skills and chew through your inspiration through studying and getting your proficiency caps up, you're gonna be wanting lots of inspiration, and the only way to increase it, apart from sleeping offline for 8 hours, is them beautiful potions. And I can tell you now, the potion I was looking at yesterday is so big, and I'm not mentioning it because I don't want to make spoilers for the game. We're going to do a slow and steady progress path. You're going to see us making some awesome potions. This game is not slow. Do not be fooled. This game rockets along. But of course it takes me a long time to get the episodes prepared. We'll go as quick as I can. Okay, let's check my notes. I'm waffling too much. So there we are. That is how to properly raise humours whilst at the same time raising inspiration and having the maximum amount of fun at the same time. Wherever you are in the world, God bless you and keep every last one of you safe. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Goodbye.